What if toxic people didn't just exist, but thrived? Because we unknowingly gave them permission? What if the most powerful way to handle them isn't confrontation, but quiet, calculated control? Keep watching, because these 8 bold strategies will flip the script and put you back in charge of your peace. Here's the harsh truth: if you're dealing with toxic people, it's not their fault, it's yours for allowing them in your life. But don't worry, I'll show you how to take back control and leave them powerless. Toxic people don't just appear out of nowhere, they thrive on the cracks in your boundaries, feeding off your reactions. Most people let them wreak havoc because they're too afraid to confront the hard reality: you can't fix them, but you can outsmart them. In this video, I'll reveal brutally honest and foolproof ways to handle toxic individuals. And by the end, you'll realize that your peace was always in your hands. 1. Forgive. But don't forget, forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood virtues. Many people think forgiving someone means you're weak, naive, or willing to overlook the pain they caused you. But true forgiveness is none of that. It's not about excusing someone's behavior or welcoming them back into your life with open arms. It's about liberating yourself from the chains of resentment. I learned this the hard way years ago. I had a close friend, let's call them Alex. We were inseparable, or so I thought. One day I confided in Alex about something deeply personal, trusting they would keep it between us. But a week later I found out they had shared my secret with others, twisting the story in a way that painted me in the worst possible light. The betrayal cut deep. I was furious, not just at Alex, but at myself for trusting them in the first place. The anger stayed with me for months, maybe even years. Every time I saw them or even heard their name, it felt like the wound was reopening. I carried that resentment everywhere, and I didn't realize how much it was weighing me down. Then, during a particularly low moment, I came across a quote: "Resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die." That hit me hard. I realized that while Alex had moved on living their life, I was the one trapped in a cycle of anger and hurt. My resentment wasn't punishing them, it was punishing me. So I made the decision to forgive. But not in the way most people imagine. I didn't call Alex up to reconcile, nor did I invite them back into my inner circle. Instead, I forgave them silently in my own heart. I let go of the anger, not for Alex's sake, but for my own peace. But here's the critical part: 1. Didn't forget that betrayal taught me an invaluable lesson about trust, specifically who to trust and who to keep at a safe distance. Forgiving Alex allowed me to move forward without bitterness, but remembering the betrayal ensured I wouldn't make the same mistake again. Forgiveness is often seen as weakness, but in reality it's the ultimate act of strength. It takes courage to release anger when holding on to it feels justified. It takes wisdom to understand that forgiveness doesn't mean giving someone another chance to hurt you. Forgetting, however, is a different story. Forgetting invites the same pain back into your life. Think of forgiveness like healing a scar. You don't keep reopening the wound, but you also don't erase the scar. The scar is a reminder not of the pain, but of the lesson. It reminds you of what you endured and what you learned. It doesn't define you, but it shapes your future decisions. The Stoics often emphasize the power of controlling your emotions, and forgiveness is a prime example of that. By forgiving, you take control of the narrative. You refuse to let the toxic actions of another dictate your peace. By not forgetting, you protect yourself from falling into the same trap. I'll leave you with this thought: forgiveness is a gift you give yourself, not the person who hurt you. Forgetting, however, is a disservice to your growth. Let go of the bitter, hold on to the lesson, and carry it with You as a shield, not a burden to limit your access. Let me be real with you. Some people don't deserve a front row seat in your life. I don't care if they're family, lifelong friends, or colleagues you see every day. If someone's toxic, draining, or constantly disrespecting your boundaries, it's time to downgrade their access. Call it harsh if you want. But protecting your peace isn't selfish, it's survival. Here's the thing, I used to be a people pleaser. If someone wanted my time, energy, or attention, I gave it, no questions asked. I'd stay on the phone for hours with a friend who only called to complain about their life, completely ignoring that I had my own struggles to deal with, or I'd bend over backward for people who wouldn't even lift a finger for me in return. Sound familiar? It hit me one day after yet another draining conversation with someone who seemed to think I was their unpaid therapist. I hung up completely exhausted and thought, why am I doing this? What am I even getting out of this relationship? That's when I realized not everyone deserves unrestricted access to you. Here's where it gets controversial. Limiting access doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely. Sometimes it's about setting subtle boundaries they don't even realize you've put in place. For example, that friend who always dumps their problems on you. Start responding with, wow, that sounds tough. What do you think you'll do about it? Watch how quickly they lose interest when you stop feeding into their negativity. Or take that family member who always criticizes your life choices. You don't have to argue or explain yourself, just nod, smile, and keep your plans to yourself. Their disapproval loses power when they don't have the full story. I once had a coworker who thrived on gossip and drama. Every time they'd corner me in the break room with, you won't believe what so and so did. I'd casually reply, oh, I'm not really into office drama, and walk away. It was awkward at first, but guess what? They stopped trying to drag me into their nonsense. Limiting access is about recognizing that not everyone deserves a backstage pass to your energy and emotions. It's about creating layers, inner circles for those who uplift you, and outer rings for the energy vampires. And yeah, some people might call you cold or distant for doing this. But ask yourself this: do you want to be liked by everyone or respected by the right people? Here's the jovial part. Think of your life like a VIP club. You're the bouncer, and not everyone makes the list. The toxic complainers, general admission, if that; the drama queens, they can watch from the parking lot, and the people who truly value and respect you, they're in the VIP lounge with you, sipping the good stuff. Limiting access isn't about being cruel, it's about being smart. Your time and energy are limited resources. Don't waste them on people who don't appreciate them. Because here's the truth: when you start valuing yourself, the right people will value you too. And the wrong ones, they'll either shape up or show themselves out. Win-win. 3. Use humor to disarm them. Sometimes the best way to handle a toxic person is to not take them too seriously. Toxic people thrive on tension. They feed off drama, arguments, and conflict. But what happens when you refuse to give them what they want? Instead of arguing back, you crack a joke, smile, or play along just enough to deflate their ego. It's like popping a balloon. Suddenly their grand performance falls flat. I remember a particularly toxic coworker who loved to critique everyone. Nothing was ever good enough for this person: work outfits, even the way people drank their coffee. One day they decided to comment on my unorganized desk in front of everyone. Wow, your desk looks like a tornado hit it. How do you even find anything in this mess? They sneered. Instead of taking offense or defending myself, I shrugged and said, you're absolutely right. This is my creative chaos. Albert Einstein's desk was messier than mine, so clearly I'm on track for genius. The group laughed, and their attempt to embarrass me completely backfired. After that, they never bothered me about my desk again. Using humor disarms toxic people for a few reasons. It takes the power away from their words. When you laugh at their insults or jabs, You show them that their attempts to hurt you aren't working. It changes the energy of the interaction. Toxic people want negativity. Humor brings levity and unpredictability, which they often can't handle. It puts you in control by staying calm and witty. You show that you're unshakable, which can frustrate them more than any direct confrontation. But here's the key: your humor has to be light and clever, not aggressive or cutting. If your joke comes across as sarcastic or mean, it could escalate the situation. The goal is to make their negativity look ridiculous without stooping to their level. For instance, if someone keeps interrupting you in a meeting, you could say with a smile, "Wow, I didn't realize we were playing tag team speaking today. Your turn's over, though it's mine now." It's firm but funny and gets the point across without creating unnecessary conflict. Humor also works when toxic people try to guilt trip you. If someone says, "Oh, I guess you're too busy to care about me these days," respond with, "You're on to me. I've been auditioning for the role of terrible friend, and it looks like I'm nailing it." It deflates their manipulative tactic while keeping things light. Using humor doesn't mean you're dismissing the seriousness of their toxicity. It means you're refusing to let them drag you into their negativity. It's a subtle way of asserting your strength, proving that you're unbothered by their attempts to control or belittle you. For know when to walk away. Walking away from a toxic person is one of the hardest yet most liberating decisions you'll ever make. It's not just about leaving a bad situation, it's about reclaiming your peace, your time, and your energy. But here's the kicker: it's not always dramatic or sudden. Sometimes knowing when to walk away is about quietly choosing yourself over their chaos. Again and again, toxic people are experts at convincing you to stay. They'll say, "I'm sorry, I'll change," or guilt trip you with lines like, "If you leave, you're giving up on me." And let's be honest, there's always a part of you that wonders if walking away makes you the bad person. But here's the truth: staying in a relationship, whether it's a friendship, romantic connection, or family tie that drains you, isn't noble, it's self-destructive. I once had a close friend who was the life of every party, but a nightmare in private. Every conversation was about their problems, their needs, and their drama. If I ever talked about my own struggles, they'd dismiss it or turn it into a competition. "Oh, you had a bad day, let me tell you about mine." At first I made excuses for them. They're going through a lot, they don't mean it. But as months turned into years, I realized I was pouring everything into this relationship and getting nothing back. The breaking point came during a crisis in my life. When I needed them, I reached out, and their response was, "That sounds rough, but I'm dealing with my own stuff right now." That's when it hit me: they weren't toxic because they were malicious, they were toxic because they simply didn't care. I finally decided to walk away. And while it hurt, it also felt like a massive weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Walking away doesn't always mean cutting someone off completely. It might look like reducing contact. Stop answering every call or responding to every text. Immediately let them fade into the background of your life. Setting boundaries: "I'm not available to talk about this," or "I don't think I can help you with that anymore," or firm but respectful ways to step back. Emotionally detaching: even if you see them or speak occasionally, stop letting their opinions or behavior affect you. The controversial part: sometimes walking away means leaving someone society expects you to stay connected to, like family. The idea that you must endure toxic relatives because their family is outdated and harmful blood ties don't give someone a free pass to abuse, manipulate, or drain you. Walking away doesn't mean you hate them, it means you're choosing to protect yourself. Here's the deeper message: walking away isn't an act of anger, it's an act of love. Love for yourself, your well-being, and the life you want to live. It's saying, "I deserve relationships that uplift me, not ones that tear me down." And when you finally walk away, you'll Realize something powerful: you weren't just walking away from them, you were walking toward a healthier, happier you. Walking away doesn't mean you've failed or given up, it means you've succeeded in recognizing your worth. Toxic people often leave you feeling like you're too much, not enough, or somehow to blame. But the moment you step away, you'll start to see the truth: it was never you, it was always them. And the best part, walking away gives you the freedom to fill your life with people who see your value and treat you accordingly. 5. Surround yourself with uplifting people. Dealing with toxic individuals can feel like trying to swim with weights tied to your ankles. You're constantly dragged down by their negativity, manipulation, or drama. The best antidote: surrounding yourself with people who lift you up. Uplifting people don't just bring positivity, they remind you of your worth, encourage your growth, and help you keep toxic energy at bay. Here's a simple truth: your environment shapes you. If you spend most of your time with toxic people, you'll inevitably absorb some of their habits, attitudes, or even their worldview. But when you're surrounded by people who genuinely want the best for you, something magical happens. You start to see the best in yourself. Think about this: have you ever had a friend who makes you feel lighter after spending time with them? Someone who listens without judgment, celebrates your wins without jealousy, and challenges you in a way that feels empowering rather than condescending. Those are the uplifting people you need to seek out. For me, there was a period in my life when I was stuck in a cycle of toxic relationships. One day I met a new colleague who was refreshingly positive and sincere. They'd say things like, "You're really good at this, why don't you take the lead?" or "You handled that situation so well." Their encouragement was so genuine that it shocked me. Over time I realized I had been so used to backhanded compliments and subtle jabs from toxic people that I didn't even know what real support felt like. Spending more time with them and people like them showed me what I'd been missing. They didn't try to compete, undermine, or manipulate. Instead, they inspired me to believe in myself and to set higher standards for the relationships I allowed in my life. Here's how to surround yourself with uplifting people. Identify your tribe. Look for those who inspire, encourage, and energize you. These might be old friends, mentors, or even new acquaintances. Invest in quality connections instead of trying to maintain a large circle of surface-level relationships. Focus on deepening bonds with a few genuinely uplifting people. Reciprocate positivity. Relationships are a two-way street. Be the kind of uplifting person you want in your life. Listen, support, and celebrate others authentically. The controversial part: this might mean cutting ties or limiting contact with people who don't uplift you, even if they've been in your life for years. Loyalty is a beautiful trait, but it's not worth sacrificing your peace of mind for someone who consistently drains you. The deeper message is this: uplifting people don't just make you feel good, they remind you that life is meant to be shared with those who see the best in you. They help you grow into the version of yourself you're meant to be, simply by believing in you and holding space for your potential. Here's the reality: toxic people will try to convince you that everyone is just as selfish, bitter, or manipulative as they are. But uplifting people show you a different truth. They remind you that kindness, respect, and genuine connection still exist. And once you experience that, you'll wonder why you ever settled for anything less. 6. Refuse to engage in their games. Toxic people thrive on chaos. They're like emotional puppeteers pulling strings to manipulate, provoke, or control you. Their games can be subtle, like guilt-tripping you into doing something you don't want, or outright explosive, like stirring up drama to make themselves the center of attention. The only way to win: stop playing. Refuse to engage in their games entirely. Here's the thing: toxic individuals are experts at baiting you. They'll say things designed to push your buttons or create situations where you feel like you have to respond. But the moment you take the bait, they've won. You're on their turf, playing by their rules. By refusing to engage, you take away their power and leave them spinning in their own chaos. I remember dealing with a particularly toxic family member who loved to stir up arguments at gatherings. They'd throw out passive-aggressive comments like it must be nice to have so much free time. Some of us actually work hard. At first I'd try to explain myself or defend my choices, but it only made things worse. They twist my words, escalate the argument, and somehow make me the bad guy. One day I decided to stop playing their game. When they made another snide remark, I just smiled and said, "You're entitled to your opinion," then changed the subject. They tried again, but I stayed calm and disengaged. You could see the frustration on their face. They weren't getting the reaction they wanted. Over time, they stopped targeting me because I refused to give them what they craved. Drama. Refusing to engage isn't about being passive, it's about being strategic. Here's how you can master this skill. Recognize the bait. Pay attention to the patterns. What triggers you? And how do they try to provoke you? Once you spot their tactics, you can prepare to respond differently. Stay calm. Toxic people want an emotional reaction. Keep your composure, and don't let their antics dictate your mood. Respond minimally or not at all. Sometimes silence is your best weapon. Other times a neutral, non-committal response like "that's interesting" or "I see" is enough to shut them down. Set boundaries. Make it clear that you won't entertain their behavior. For example, "I'm not going to argue about this," or "let's talk when you're ready to have a productive conversation." The controversial part: refusing to engage doesn't mean being a doormat. It means choosing not to fight battles that aren't worth your energy. Toxic people may accuse you of being cold, dismissive, or even cowardly, but that's their way of trying to pull you back into the game. Remember, their opinion doesn't define you. The deeper message here is about control. Yours. By refusing to engage, you remind yourself that you don't owe anyone your energy, especially not someone who thrives on negativity. You're setting the terms for how you want to interact with the world, not letting someone else dictate them. Life is too short to be drawn into pointless arguments or toxic mind games. When you step back and refuse to engage, you're not running away, you're rising above. And in doing so, you're choosing peace over chaos, clarity over confusion, and power over manipulation. That's a game worth winning every time. 7. Stay focused on your purpose. Toxic people love to derail you. They thrive on distraction, pulling you into their chaos, drama, or petty schemes. It's almost like their mission is to make their problems your problems. But when you're deeply focused on your purpose, your goals, your values, and the life you're building, their noise starts to fade into the background. Staying focused on your purpose isn't just a defense, it's a power move. Here's the thing about toxic people: they want you to lose sight of yourself. They'll criticize your ambitions, downplay your achievements, or demand your attention at the worst possible times. Why? Because a focused person is a threat to their control. If you're too busy growing, thriving, or chasing your dreams, you won't have the time or the patience for their nonsense. I once worked with a colleague who was the textbook definition of toxic. They'd gossip about everyone, create unnecessary drama, and constantly try to drag others into their mess. At first I got caught up in it. I'd waste hours listening to their complaints or defending myself against their petty jabs. But then I realized something. Every minute I spent on their nonsense was a minute I wasn't spending on my work, my goals, or my peace of mind. So I made a decision: I would focus on what truly mattered to me and let their chaos play out without me. I started setting firm boundaries. "I'm really busy right now, I can't get into this." I avoided unnecessary conversations and poured my energy into excelling at my tasks. The more I stayed focused, the less power they had over me. And the best part, my focus inspired others to do the same, leaving them with fewer people to manipulate. Here's how you can stay focused on your purpose even when surrounded by toxicity. Clarify your goals. Write down what you're working toward And remind yourself why it matters. Keeping your purpose front and center will make toxic distractions seem less significant. Create a mental shield. Treat toxic people like background noise. Acknowledge their presence if you must, but don't let their negativity penetrate your focus. Say no unapologetically if their demands don't align with your goals. Don't hesitate to decline. Your time is valuable. Spend it wisely. Find your motivators. Surround yourself with people, books, your habits that remind you of your purpose and fuel your determination. The controversial part: staying focused on your purpose might mean prioritizing yourself over relationships that don't serve you, even if those relationships are with close friends or family. Some might accuse you of being selfish. But here's the truth: focusing on your purpose isn't selfish, it's essential. You can't pour from an empty cup. And you can't achieve your dreams if you're constantly bogged down by someone else's negativity. The deeper message: staying focused on your purpose isn't just about ignoring toxic people, it's about honoring yourself. It's a declaration that your time, energy, and aspirations are too valuable to be wasted on someone else's drama. Toxic people may try to distract you, but your purpose is your anchor. When you're clear on what you're working toward, their negativity can't shake you. And as you continue to pursue your goals, something incredible happens. You build a life so fulfilling and grounded that their toxicity becomes irrelevant. At that point, you're not just surviving their chaos, you're thriving despite it. And that's the ultimate win. 8. Avoid gossiping about them. Gossiping about toxic people might feel satisfying in the moment, like a harmless way to vent your frustration or even the score. But let's be real, gossip never ends well. It keeps their toxicity alive in your life, turns you into the very thing you're trying to escape. And worst of all, gives them free rent in your head. If you want to deal with toxic people effectively, resist the urge to talk behind their backs. Here's the reality: toxic people are often fueled by attention, even negative attention. Gossip only feeds the drama they crave, making you an unintentional participant in their game. Worse, it creates a toxic cycle where their behavior starts dictating your actions. That's the opposite of taking control. I learned this the hard way. At one point, I had a coworker who was notoriously toxic, always stirring up conflict and dragging others down. A few of us would vent about them during lunch, sharing stories about their latest antics. At first, it felt like camaraderie. But over time, I realized something unsettling. Every conversation about them left me feeling drained and bitter. Worse, they somehow found out about our gossip and used it to paint themselves as the victim. From that moment, I decided to stop engaging in gossip. Instead, I focused on maintaining my professionalism and addressing issues directly when necessary. It wasn't always easy. There were times I really wanted to vent, but I noticed a shift. By stepping out of the gossip loop, I reclaimed my energy and my integrity. Here's how you can avoid gossiping about toxic people while staying sane. Vent productively. If you need to release your frustration, do it with someone you trust who won't fuel the fire, like a mentor or therapist. Stick to facts, not insults. Redirect the conversation. When others start gossiping about the toxic person, steer the discussion toward more constructive topics. For example, let's focus on how we can handle this situation better. Focus on solutions instead of dwelling on their behavior. Channel your energy into finding ways to protect your peace and move forward. Practice empathy. 1. While you don't have to excuse their behavior, recognizing that toxic people often act out of their own pain can help you rise above the temptation to gossip. The controversial part: avoiding gossip might make you feel isolated in a world where venting about others seems like the norm. People might even accuse you of being too nice or passive. But here's the truth: avoiding Gossip isn't about being nice, it's about being smart. Gossip chains you to the very toxicity you're trying to escape. Letting it go sets you free. The deeper message is this: by refusing to gossip, you're choosing to break the cycle of negativity. You're proving to yourself and others that you won't let someone else's bad behavior drag you down to their level. Toxic people thrive on chaos. And gossip is just another form of it. By stepping away from the chatter, you starve of the attention they seek. And protect your own peace of mind, and in doing so you demonstrate one of the most powerful forms of self-respect, the ability to rise above even when it's tempting. Not to dealing with toxic people isn't about changing them, it's about protecting yourself. You can't control their behavior, but you can control how you respond. The truth is, toxic people will always exist. But when you master the art of setting boundaries, staying focused, and refusing to play their games, they lose their power over you. Remember, your energy is precious. You have dreams to chase, goals to crush, and a life to build. Don't let anyone's negativity distract you from that. Stand your ground, choose your peace, and keep moving forward. If this video helped you take a fresh perspective, leave a comment below and share your own strategies for dealing with toxic people. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more insights to help you live a stronger, more purposeful life. You've got this now. Go claim your power. See you in the next one. Music. True empowerment isn't about changing toxic people. It's about changing how you respond to them. Every choice you make either fuels their power or reclaims yours. These aren't just tactics. They're life strategies, tested, refined, and designed to make your boundaries unbreakable. So, as you read through these methods, reflect on where you've let others overstep, and where you're finally ready to draw the line.